In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, present, stretch my heart. This prayer is going to be key in overcoming temptation, because sometimes you're going to feel like you're battling something, you're battling an urge to go back to that bad habit that you have, and you're going to feel like that urge is not going away. Maybe you're going to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why am I still tempted by this? I thought I was growing closer to Jesus. I thought I was making progress, but that urge, that temptation still keeps coming back. Jesus, please stretch my heart. Jesus, present, stretch my heart. That's going to be a key, and we're going to come back to that later. But this video is for you if you're struggling with any kind of addiction. It could be a phone addiction. You're spending way too much time on your phone, and you know that you should be doing other things instead, like praying or spending more time with your family. Maybe it's a porn addiction. Maybe it's a addiction to sex, right? Sex outside of marriage between one man and one woman. Maybe you have a boyfriend or girlfriend that you're living with or sleeping with, or just want to break that, right? You want to do God's will. Maybe it's envy, right? You're just addicted to envy. You keep going back to this. Maybe it's disrespecting your parents. Maybe it's laziness, right? Sloth, that you're not doing what you should be doing with your life. You're not applying your talents. You're not going out into the world and showing the face of Jesus to everyone. You're stuck at home. Maybe it's, anything else. Anger. You're addicted to anger, getting angry, things that trigger you online, and you just, can't get over them. Maybe it's pride. You have a sense of pride, like, oh, how dare this person talk to me this way, right? Whatever it is that you're addicted to, this is a video for you, because we're going to be talking about how to give yourself over to Jesus. Surrender. I made a video on how to surrender. This is going to be building off of that. So some of it might be a bit repetitive, and some of it, hopefully, a new angle. But the first thing we need to acknowledge is we need to have a definite no. A no to this temptation, a no to this bad habit. For example, I'm going to start out with a personal story. So when I was in 6th grade, I read about Our Lady of Fatima. And I read that she said that more souls go to hell for sins of the flesh than any other reason. So right then I was like, okay, not going to do porn, not going to do masturbation, not going to do, sex outside of marriage before I get married, right? That was a huge help, because I had that definite no. I had that definite not going to go there. There's no way. There's no option, right? I don't want to go to hell, right? Basically. And of course, our main motivation should be to love God. But that's a great motivation to start out with, right? I'm not going to do that because, I don't want to go to hell. So, it's a great starting point. Okay, so the definite no. And it might be harder for you at this point if you're already into a habit like porn or some sort of sexual, sin that you've done repeatedly, and now it's hard to break it, right? Maybe it's easier. It would have been easier for me that I didn't even get into these things in the first place, because I didn't have to get out of it, right? But Sacred Heart of Jesus, right? He's going to be here. He's going to be helping you surrender in every moment through, that love of his heart, through that love that he gives you in every moment. Jesus, present, stretch my heart. Okay, right? So that definite no. And how do we get there to that definite no? Well, you have to have a positive too. For me, it was like, okay, I don't want to go to hell. That was my goal, right? So, don't want to go to hell. Had something that I set my sights to. Maybe for you, it's, maybe you want to start with, I want to love God, all right? I want to love God, so then I cannot do this sin. I can't do this anymore, right? Okay, so that's the second thing. We have to have something positive, something that you set your sights on and you want to zero in on. And I saw this video. It was like a secular video, but the guy was saying, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want it? Do you really want it, right? If you're going back to this sin and your goal is, I want to go to heaven, I want to love God as much as possible, but you still keep going back to it, then you ask yourself, well, how badly do I really want it? How badly do I really want to go to heaven? And this might sound kind of difficult right now. You might say, hey, you know what, Nico, I've tried that before, hasn't worked. Well, just to give you a little sign of hope, You've probably heard of someone in your family, or maybe it's someone that you know that is struggling or has struggled with smoking, right? Cigarettes or alcohol. And then they go to the doctor, maybe they're a bit older, and the doctor tells them, hey, you know what? Like, your heart can't handle it anymore. Your liver can't handle it anymore. Your lungs can't handle it anymore. So you have a choice. Do you want to live or do you want to die? Do you want to keep smoking? Do you want to keep drinking that alcohol? Or do you want to die? I mean, yeah, do you want to keep drinking that alcohol? Or do you want to live? Sorry. Yeah, no, the alcohol, the cigarette smoking leads to the death, right? So yeah. It's just, I'm thinking about that image of, you've probably seen it, like a smoker's lungs, right? So black and gross, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that, right? Okay, anyway, gross. But you say no to the bad thing, yes to life. No to death, yes to life, boom. They're able to cut it off cold turkey. So the key here is to find that motivation that's so important for you. Just like life is so important to that smoker or to that alcohol drinker, right? You have to have something that you set your eyes on, like life. Maybe it's eternal life if you're struggling with a sin. And then the thing that you say no to because you're so committed to that goal of life, of eternal life. All right. So think about this. What do you most want in your life? What do you most want? Do you want to set your sights right now on just, okay, I want more than anything to love God as much as I can? Maybe that's the example that we're going to use today. Maybe you came up with another goal in your head right now, but that's the one we'll use. So then, yeah, it'll just be clear, right? You'll have something concrete to focus on as we journey in this video. Okay. I want to love God as much as possible. In the moment of difficulty, in the moment where maybe you're even distracting yourself from the temptation, you're like, okay, I'm going to whip out my phone. It's no big deal. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But then boom, way too much time goes by. Maybe it's an hour. Maybe it's even like 15 minutes. And you didn't want to spend 15 minutes. You just wanted to spend, 30 seconds to check something. And you forgot why you're even there on your phone. Okay. That goal is going to be key, because then you can ask yourself in that moment, do I really want to love God as much as possible? Do I really want to spend this time just like being here, saying Jesus present? Jesus present. We're going to start out with that. I know the full prayer that I told you, Jesus present, stress my heart. Yeah, that's the full thing, but we're going to focus on that first thing, Jesus present. If you just take a second to breathe and focus on Jesus present, that's going to get you back to your goal, which is to love God as much as possible. Okay, Jesus present. Then you're going to think, what do I really want? Do I really want to be looking at my phone? Or is this just an urge that I have? Is this just an urge? Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, but is this just a temptation? Or is this your real goal, right? Is your real goal to be spending time on your phone? And again, the phone's just an example. You can substitute that with, porn or anger, expressions of anger, right? Disrespect, laziness, sex outside of marriage. Whatever your addiction is, whatever your temptation is, you can substitute that in for the phone when I'm saying the phone, all right? Okay, so you have this urge. I gotta look at my phone. I gotta look at my... I gotta check something. And you ask yourself, what do I really want? Okay, and then the no is gonna follow, right? No, I do not want to look at my phone because this violates my goal, because I'm not going to be able to focus on Jesus present. Maybe I think I'm gonna, right? Maybe I'm going to trick myself and say, oh yeah, I'm going on my phone to learn more about Jesus. But maybe what's more valuable is just appreciating God in this moment, right? He's put everything you need to become a saint right here in front of you. In this moment, if you're outside or if you're in nature, if you're just at home, if you take in that air, just breathe. If you focus on the people around you, the people you can love, you don't need to go out and do crazy things. You don't need to go and make yourself a path to become a savior of someone else. You just need to appreciate God in this moment. So just be at peace that yes, I have everything I need to accomplish my goal. And again, the goal in this video, to love God as much as possible. I have everything I need to love God as much as possible. And that's going to lead us to the, focus, Jesus present. So the key here is when you have a temptation, when you have an urge, that urge is going to be pulling your mind in a certain direction. The phone, right? I really feel like I'm being pulled in the direction where I need to look at my phone. I really feel pulled in the direction where I need to watch the pornography. I really feel pulled in the direction I just need to lay in my bed all day. Right? This is going to be pulling you. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that, hey, I'm going to acknowledge that this is a temptation. This is an urge. And what's your job here in this moment? Well, you know that Jesus is present. So anchor yourself in the now. Anchor yourself in the now. I described this in my other video on how to surrender, but just to go over it briefly again. The muscle. How does it grow? It stretches. It gets put under tension, and it gets these little micro tears in the muscle. So then those little holes, right, when the muscle rebuilds, comes back bigger and stronger. When the tissue builds back with those holes, right? So the muscle comes back bigger and stronger, but first it needs the tears, right? First it needs to be stretched. First it needs to be put under tension. So how are you gonna let yourself be put under tension? Well, that goes back to that goal, or to that idea of the temptation is pulling you, right? The temptation, and you can feel it in your head. Maybe there's a certain part of your head that you can feel it even physically. There's like a tingling or something. It's like, I really need to go back to whatever it is, the porn, the staying on my bed, the anger, right? To lash out at someone. It's pulling you. Okay, so your job, right? Jesus present, here in the now. Stretch me now. Jesus present, stretch me. Jesus present, stretch my heart. Jesus present, stretch my mind. Whatever that prayer is, just focus on. If you're anchored, right? If you're anchored in the present, you are gonna let Jesus stretch the muscle of your heart. Why? Because a temptation is trying to pull you. If you're anchored here, then that muscle is gonna be stretched, right? The thought is this finger right here. The temptation is stretching you. You're anchored here where my thumb is. You're anchored in the present, and then the thought is trying to pull you away from that present. So if you're anchored, right, then that muscle is going to stretch. But if you're not anchored, then you're going to be pulled in the direction of that temptation, and the muscle of your heart will not be stretched. Your heart will not grow, and you will not grow in love for Jesus in that moment. Okay, so this is the goal. Anchored in the present. You don't need to try to escape the feeling to watch the porn or to feel like you just need to be there, right, in your bed, or to feel like you need to pull out your phone. You don't need to escape that. You just need to be anchored. Say, hey, this is the temptation I'm experiencing. I'm gonna let it pull me. I'm gonna feel the pain or the discomfort of not pulling out my phone, of getting up out of my bed, of being silent maybe when you're tempted to be angry at someone. I'm gonna let that pull me because I'm here in the now. I'm gonna focus on the person in front of me if they're provoking me. I'm gonna focus on whatever is outside of my phone, right? Whatever is not my phone. I'm gonna focus on the now. And that's how I'm gonna remain with Jesus present in this moment. Okay, so again, recapping what we talked about so far. Your goal, I'm gonna love God as much as possible. Jesus is present. You have to be anchored in the present moment if you want Jesus to stretch your heart. All right? So, next part is don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. If your goal is to go to the gym, to get a lot of muscles, or just to be healthier, are you going to be upset every time that a weight is too heavy, that you get tired doing your sprints? No, because you know that's a sign of improvement. You know that's a sign that you're growing. So each time you get tempted, know that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Just like there's not wrong with anyone who has a weight that's heavy for them, right? Nothing's wrong with you if you have a temptation that you feel like is too much for you to handle. It is too much for you to handle, but it's not too much for Jesus to handle. So that's why Jesus present. When I say that, what I mean is Jesus is looking at you like you're the only person who exists in every moment. He's looking at every hair on your body like it's the only thing that exists, because his attention span is limitless. God is infinitely good. So that means his ability to give you attention is limitless. It's infinite. So, Jesus present. When you think about that, when you focus on that, picture him here in the now. If you're getting pulled in a different direction by a temptation, if you're going along with that temptation and giving in, you're not with Jesus here in the present. You're with that temptation, right? You've either chosen Jesus, you've chosen to love God as much as possible in this moment, or you've chosen the path of letting that temptation pull you away from him who is here and looking at you. Okay, so get comfortable with the stretching, right? Get comfortable with being pulled by the temptation, with the discomfort, with the urge, with the feeling of I need to look at my phone, I need to look at the pornography, I need to stay in my bed and be lazy all day. I need to lash out at this person and show them that I'm right, to show them that they're away from God, and I need to get them back on the right track. To eat, to overeat that junk food when you know you're unhealthy, when you know that it's not good for your body. Not to say that, it's always bad to eat junk food, because sometimes, healthy amount, right? In moderation, it's okay, right? I'm saying if you know that you're already unhealthy, that it's not good for you, right? Maybe you're, struggling with something like obesity or something, whatever it is, and you know that you shouldn't be doing it, right? You should be getting on that healthy trend again. That's what I'm talking about. Not to say that, all junk food is bad. All right. Just to clarify that. And again, if this, if you ever feel like something I say in this video, like if I mention pornography, or if I mention laziness, if I mention, obesity or overeating, if I mention like cigarette smoking or, alcoholism, and if you feel that a little bit of hurt in you, sorry about that. But again, the goal of this video is to, not take it personally, to just say, hey, what do I need to do to fulfill my goal of loving God as much as possible? And just saying, if something rings true to you, if you know that something is an obstacle in your life from loving God, if it's a sinful habit, then just say, hey, you know what? I make that decision now in this moment. Maybe to keep watching this video if it's too much for you right now. It's like, oh, you know what? I can't deal with this right now. I'll focus on overcoming my temptations later, right? Maybe it's just the urge. Maybe you feel stretched to be pulled away to do something else in this moment. Practice now. Say, Jesus present. Stretch me. Stretch my heart. Stretch my mind. Help my heart grow in love for you by encountering this discomfort, by encountering this struggle and not running away from it, by letting it stretch me. Okay. All right. So that's just a quick note in case you feel like this is too much for you, and in case you feel like, hey, you know what? Maybe you feel called out in this moment. It's okay. It's okay that you have this struggle, because right now, the fact that you're watching this video means that you want to love God more. You're trying your best. So that's an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job by laying down your life for God's will, even when it's hard, to overcome this habit that maybe you've been struggling with for years. So great job. Great job. Jesus is pleased when you want to lay down your life for him, when you want to surrender to him, when you want to let yourself be stretched by the temptations, by the negative feelings, instead of shutting down, instead of going along with the temptations and going away from him. So great job again. All right, well, now let's revisit the yes and the no. I just read there's this saint that's a relative, distant relative, I believe on my mom's side, we've been told that he's a relative on my mom's side. I was just thinking about this morning to check the family tree to see exactly how he's related, but I think it's like a distant uncle on my mom's side. His name is Saint Jose Maria Robles Hurtado. This is a saint who was a priest, and he was martyred during the Cristero War. So the Mexican government was persecuting Catholics. They killed him. They killed Saint Jose Maria Robles Hurtado. And he wrote this book on the virtues. And what he said was basically to be perfect. One tip to be perfect is to live this moment like it's really your last, every moment of your life. And let's just think about that. Yeah, we've heard like the songs, live each moment like your last, right? But if you think about this, look, like if you're looking at Jesus, or if you think you're about to look at Jesus right after you die, you're about to face him, you're just like, how would you spend your last moment? How would you spend that? Would you be peaceful? Would you be excited? Would you be filled with love? Or would you be worried about, hey, I'm not making enough money, or hey, I need to, clean my house, or hey, you know what, I have to, pay this bill, or deal with this person who's upsetting me. Hopefully we'd be so focused on Jesus that the worldly things don't matter. And that's another tip for stretching. Sometimes, right now it's easy to say, yeah, just picture that last moment. You're going to be filled with excitement. You're going to be, the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, right? I'm going to say them as if I'm about to die, and I'm going to be happy that this is the decision I made, to say things with peace, to say things with love. But sometimes, like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane or Jesus on the cross, you're going to feel like you want this cup to pass from you, like you want a temptation to go away, like you feel abandoned by God. It's going to be too much. It's going to be maybe too much to focus on. Yeah, you know what? Just say things with peace, say things with love. It's going to be too much. So when you feel like temptations, loneliness, urges to dwell in negativity are too much, go back to that. Jesus, stretch me, and I want you to stretch me well. I want you to stretch me fully, as if this is my last moment, and I feel that pain. I feel that final growing pain of my heart being more open to you. So, always go back to that idea that Jesus is here. Jesus is present. Am I going to say yes to his presence? Am I going to give my full effort to this goal of overcoming whatever sin I have? Am I going to say yes to Jesus, or am I going to say yes to the other thing? Okay, now we're going to move on to the no. The no has to be a definite no. Like I told you at the beginning of the video, for me, no, I'm not going to do sins of the flesh, because no, I don't want to go to hell, right? Make those things equal in your mind. For example, whipping out your phone, and you tell yourself, you give yourself little excuses, right? Like, oh, it's just going to be a little bit. Oh, I'm just going to look at my phone, check this one thing. I'm just going to watch one video, just one more minute, right? Right now in your head, say no. I'm not saying yes to just a little bit. I'm saying yes to being distant from my goal, which is to give my God, Jesus, my everything. I'm saying yes to giving something else my attention. I'm saying yes to not using my talents in the way God would like me to have used them, right? Like the parable of the talents, right? To give God your everything, to invest in this moment, to invest in the now, to give God your heart now, before it's too late, right? Don't sell yourself short. You might say, I don't know what talents I have. Maybe you think you don't have any talents. But you do. And the biggest talent that we have is letting God shine through us. I don't know if I told you this story in a previous video, but in the movie of St. Philip Neri, the movie's called I Prefer Paradise, there was one of the boys that he knew, right? He helped, teach about, he taught him about God, and, he looked after like a father. He looked at this boy like a father. This boy was very ambitious. He wanted to become a cardinal. He wanted to become the Pope. And St. Philip Neri was like, well, what next? What next? What next? Too ambitious without the focus of loving God in the present moment. And eventually, this boy wrote a letter when he was grown up and he was a cardinal. He wrote to St. Philip Neri and he said that the most love he felt in his life was when St. Philip Neri encouraged him to give a gypsy, like a homeless, person picture, a bath. And the gypsy was grateful. The gypsy could see that this boy, who was eventually, the cardinal, was uncomfortable. And he gave him a nice, a touch, right? It was an appropriate touch, right? But he touched him. Let's just say on the shoulder. I don't know exactly where it was, but it was an appropriate touch, right? Okay, so there was that moment, and then there was St. Philip Neri's smile. Those were the two things that this boy, this cardinal, wrote to St. Philip Neri and said, these are the moments that I felt the most loved in my life. So if you think you have no talents, if you think that you're just not good enough, your smile can be the most love that someone has ever felt in their life. So don't sell yourself short. Don't be discouraged. Be filled with joy that you can bring paradise to someone else in a second, the second it takes to give them a smile. And if you're looking at God, you say, Jesus, present, stretch me, stretch my heart. If you're looking at Jesus, right, just like a mirror, right, it reflects whatever is in front of it. Well, if you're looking at Jesus, if you're looking at the face of Jesus, if you're looking at the love of Jesus, that he's present and he's looking at you, then that's what's going to reflect off of your smile. And that's what's going to give the person in front of you paradise. And that's one of the best uses of your talents that you could ever have. Okay. Even if you think that you're not the best looking, right? If you're looking at Jesus, he'll take care of it. So don't worry about that. I'm just trying to think of, objections that you might have just to put yourself down, to see yourself as a failure. Guess what? I think St. Philip Neri said this too. I despair in myself, but I hope in Christ. What does that mean? Well, we're going to fail. So I despair in myself, right? But I hope in Christ. I'm joyful in Christ because he can live in me. He can be joyful through me. He can give people paradise when I feel like I can't give them anything. Okay, so how does this relate to your addiction, to looking at the phone, to pornography, to sex outside of marriage, to anger, to pride, to sloth? focus on your goal, loving God as much as possible in this moment, so that when you're anchored in the presence of Jesus and the temptation stretches you, you'll be confident that you're doing exactly what you should be doing. You're doing everything you should be doing. Take joy in that. Maybe it's not a relief, right? Maybe if you have, like, I don't know, picture like a drug addict, right? They get the shaking or the trembling or the whatever it is, right? The physical sensations that are difficult to handle. The things that your body's maybe trying to tell you, oh, you're doing something bad, right? You need this. You need that drug. You need that display of anger, right? You need to lash out at that person. You need to watch the pornography. You need to look at your phone, right? When you get that sign from your body, then that's when you say, hey, I'm with Jesus. I'm letting him stretch my heart, so I am doing the right thing. I am doing everything I can, and I am loving God as much as possible, because this is what I would want to be doing in the moment that I die. I would not want to be giving in to this temptation in the moment that I die. I would want to be giving Jesus my attention to what he has put in front of me. Again, I said it before, you don't need to go seek out an opportunity to lay down your life for Jesus, right? This moment, this surrounding that you have is your opportunity to lay down your life for Jesus. You don't need to go spend all your days feeding the homeless if you have a family who needs you to feed their souls with love. You don't need to worry about, giving every single penny that you have to someone else. You can if you want to, right? Like the woman, right? The woman who gave, and Jesus said that she gave only a small, coin in people's eyes, but that was really everything, right? You don't need to feel pressured, especially if you're taking care of your family, right? You don't need to go dump out all your bank account to feed the homeless, right? Or to give it to the church. But you can give your prayers to the poor souls in purgatory who are the most helpless, right? Because they cannot help themselves. They can't pray for themselves, right? Their prayers, right? They had their chance on earth, and now we can pray for them. So they're in need, right? They're helpless. So if you feel like you don't have enough, physical things like money or your time to give to strangers, give them. Or you're too exhausted, right? You need to take care of your family. You need to spend time with your loved ones. You need to show them the face of Jesus, right? Don't be worried that you're not doing enough. Focus on your goal. Focus on, yes, I am fulfilling my goal of loving God as much as possible if I love my family and I spend time with them. And then I pray for those poor souls in purgatory, or even if I pray for that homeless person that I saw on the street. You're doing an amazing job. You're giving them the spiritual benefits, right? The benefits that can change their eternity. The benefits that can lead them to heaven instead of hell. Because as Our Lady said, souls go to hell because they have no one to pray for them. Some souls, right? So your prayers do make a difference. If you're struggling with that, oh, am I going to say yes to this pornography? Am I going to say yes to this phone addiction, to this cigarette smoking? Think, no, my time is valuable. I'm going to say no to that, because I'm going to say yes to applying my talents to love God as much as possible in this moment. And that, wow, that's an eternal benefit. That's something that you can, make a change, not just for, giving someone a meal, not just satisfying their hunger until dinner time if you give them lunch, right? But that's something that's going to be never ending. Okay, so that's the motivation. You need to have a firm no, I'm not going to do this bad habit because I have a yes. I have something that I'm going to give my life to, and that is loving God as much as possible. And you might wonder, and you might think to yourself, maybe I need to uncover a traumatic, memory. Maybe there's something else in my life that I haven't looked at that's preventing me, right? That's stopping me from giving my everything to getting away from this addiction, right? To ending it cold turkey. Maybe it's helpful to look at the past. But I want to give you the freedom that you don't need all your memories to be free from a bad habit. You don't need to remember every bad thing that's happened to you so that you can do something amazing, so that you can give God your attention in this present moment. Because if you are giving God your full attention in this present moment, if you are letting yourself be stretched by the temptations, by the urges to go back to a sinful habit, that doesn't depend on you remembering everything that happened in your life. You'll have a negative feeling. Maybe you won't know where it came from. That's okay. That's not stopping you from giving God your love in this moment. Okay. Maybe an example of that. Maybe if you get sick, right? Maybe if you get like pneumonia. Maybe you know how you got sick, or maybe if you caught a cold, right? Maybe you know who you got it from. Maybe you don't. Does that make a difference in how you're gonna, heal? Does that prevent you from taking the medicine? No, it doesn't matter who you got it from. What matters is how you handle it right now. If you rest, if you, again, take your medicine. That's what you can do. So you're free. You're free to overcome this addiction because you have the ability to say yes to God. Yes to the discomfort of encountering the stretching of the moment, which is that pull from the temptation to go there and to abandon thinking about God in this moment. Distraction is such a, I was thinking about the word like pandemic, right? Or I heard someone say to the plandemic, right? But the real disease of our time is distraction. It might be those soft yeses, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna say yes to my phone because I'm curious what's online, and then that leads you to spend an hour on it, right? Or you say yes to, oh hey, you know what? I'm gonna say yes to going on, or for example, like if you have like a phone, like an app that blocks certain websites on your phone. So if you say yes to the curiosity of, I'm gonna check out, if the website or if the app really blocked out the bad website, right? I'm just gonna check, right? You say yes to the little things in your mind, to the curiosities, because it's a way to distract yourself from what you're really saying yes to. And what you're really saying yes to is, yes, I'm going to abandon God in this moment to go give in to the temptation. So, don't be scared by that. Don't be scared of like, hey, I'm a terrible person because I'm tricking myself into eventually saying no to God and yes to whatever the bad thing is. No. Just say, hey, yes, I've said yes to these distractions, but I'm going to be more aware of that in the future. I'm going to really get it and focus right now on getting it in your mind and in your heart that every one of your yeses matters. Every moment that you goes by that you say yes to God and live as if you're about to die and about to see Him in the next moment, every one of those is so powerful, so significant. There is no insignificant moment in your life, because every moment is a moment that you can lay your life down for God by doing His will, by staying anchored in the present instead of getting pulled by the sinful temptation or the distraction from God. So I hope by now you are a little bit more confident in the power that you have, to glorify God just as you are right now, in this moment. If you're in a state of mortal sin, yeah, go to confession, of course. That's the healing power, right? The Eucharist is the medicine, but confession is what brings our soul back to life, right? That's why, excuse me. That's why we don't go to communion if we're in a state of mortal sin, because our souls are dead. The Eucharist is not, the sacrament for a dead soul. The sacrament for a dead soul is confession, that you go to confession, you go to the priest, and you really desire to never sin again, right? It's okay, like if you have something, a bad habit, and you say, okay, I'm not going to look at that pornography again. I'm not going to look at, I'm not going to go back to the boyfriend or girlfriend, right? You really, in confession, if you desire with your full heart that, I'm not going to do it, and say you happen to fall again in the future, the confession counts, because you were really meaning in that moment to really stop that sin. If you fell again in the future, if you got angry at someone else, if you lashed out at them, right? That's just like, we're human, we fall. But what matters in confession is that you really want to give your life to Jesus. You really want to surrender to him and to give him your everything. So don't be discouraged. Don't say, I'm not going to go to confession because who knows if I really want to do it, right? Who knows if I really want to break this sin? Well, just ask yourself right now, do you want to give Jesus everything? Simple question. Do you want to give Jesus everything? Yes. Do you want to go away from this bad habit and do God's will? Yes? Okay, good. That's a simple question. But if you say, no, I really do want to continue this sinful habit, I'm just going to go to confession to make myself feel better, then that's the problem, right? That's the problem. So if you go to confession, go in with the mindset of, yes, I want to do God's will. No, I never want to sin again, right? Yes, I want to love God as much as possible. No, I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of my love for God. So just be confident. Just a simple yes or no. Don't be, the scrupulous, right? The people that overanalyze things spiritually. And I've had this problem too, right? When you're scrupulous, you might be overanalyzing, overthinking. Just ask yourself that simple yes or no. Did I betray God? Yes or no. Do I want to stop betraying God? Yes or no. Am I going to, do everything in my power? Am I going to actually avoid the occasions of sin, the temptations, so I can give my God, Jesus, everything? Yes or no. Just go with it, right? Once you've said yes or no, good. Full force ahead. Well, if you said yes, if you said no, please, rethink your life and give everything to Jesus. But if you've said yes, don't go back and say, I don't know if that was real or not real, right? That's just a waste of time. That anxiety is just a waste of time. Once you've said yes, once you've given Jesus your yes, trust that he's going to take it and go all out for him. Okay, so recapping. You have to have a yes. You have to have a no. Because that no means that you're going against your yes, right? Your yes to God. I want to go to heaven. I want to love God as much as possible. So no, I'm not going to do this thing that offends God. I'm not going to do this thing that means that, I'm just distracting myself, or I'm just, not using my talents as best as I can. So yes to God, no to the other thing. And if you get back to that, urge, that temptation that makes you feel guilty of, why am I experiencing this? Is there something wrong with me? Just accepting that this is your weight. This is your gym. This is your training to let your heart be stretched for Jesus. And it's okay if you experience a temptation. It was okay for Jesus on the cross to feel abandoned. He didn't have to be, fully, feeling not abandoned in every moment. Feeling abandoned is not a sign that Jesus was not God or that he was not joyful. What it was a sign of is that he was fully opening his heart to the Father in a difficult moment. Yes, acknowledge your emotion. Yes, acknowledge the temptation. Again, like Jesus did in Gethsemane. He said, let this cup pass from me. That was he felt tempted to not go through with this. That was his desire. He didn't want to. He felt like it was a lot, right? Imagine it. Human beings, like people that you love, that you're looking at in every moment as if they're the only person to exist, and them betraying you over and over again, maybe some of them forever, choosing to betray God forever by choosing hell, by choosing their own will instead of God's will in heaven. So yeah, Jesus felt like, wow, this is so much, right? Of course, he's God. He's going to go through with it, but he acknowledged his feelings, so you should too. Don't be afraid of acknowledging that temptation. Don't be afraid when you feel like there's something wrong with you, because there's not. Was there something wrong with Jesus when he said that he felt abandoned? Was there something wrong with Jesus when he said that he wanted this cup? He felt like he wanted this cup to pass from him? No. So if that's God, right? And Jesus is God, then there's nothing wrong with you if you experience a temptation. Nothing wrong with you. Be okay with that. Say it's okay that I feel tempted. It's okay that I have this weight to help my heart grow for Jesus. This is a good thing. This is an opportunity to lay down my life for Jesus. So, don't get discouraged. Don't despair. The temptations might not go away for the rest of your life. But as long as you're saying yes to your true goal, if that goal is to love God as much as possible, and you have that definite no, I'm not going to do this other thing that's keeping me from God, and you have it clear in your mind that the little decisions that you make that lead to the pornography, that lead to picking up your phone, those little decisions, if you have that clear, what those little decisions really mean, that yes, I am setting myself up to go against my goal of loving God as much as possible, as long as you have that clear, you're on the path to success. You really are on the path to success, because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And as long as you're in the truth, right? As long as you're in that knowledge of yourself, your emotions, and what you are feeling, the temptations you are realistically experiencing, then you can take that to God. You can let him stretch you in that moment. And that's everything you need. Letting him stretch you so that he can make your heart fully his. Another motivation here, and again, you're anchored in the present moment. The temptation is trying to pull you away from your anchor, which is the now. What God has put in front of you now. The temptation is trying to distract you from what you're really doing in your life. And as long as you are giving your attention to God in this moment, in the present, Jesus, present, stretch me. As long as you're saying yes to him, as long as you're embracing that discomfort, the suffering, then you are in the truth. You are making your heart, a home for Jesus. You're making that home bigger and bigger by letting God stretch it. Stretch your heart. So be confident. Jesus and Mary are with you, even when you feel like there's something wrong with you. So make that decision now. Think about it. Do I really want my yes, my goal, to love God as much as possible? Or not? Because at the end of your life, that living every moment like it's your last, it's what it's going to come down to. Do you really want to spend eternity with God? Do you really want to love him forever? Do you really want him? And it's okay if you don't feel an overwhelming sense of like ecstasy in your head of like, yeah, I know who God is, and yeah, I know how powerful he is and how amazing he is and how loving he is, right? You might not understand that, or we're not going to understand that as much as we are until we die. But right now is the opportunity for you to have faith and say, yeah, I'm going to take that leap. I know at this moment God designed for me to give him everything. I know that God made me Because there's no other explanation. There's no other explanation for everything in your life leading back to authentic love, which is connection with Jesus. And when you have that authentic connection with Jesus, everything in your life lines up. Even if you're poor, even if you are struggling with whatever it is, when you are connected to Jesus, it doesn't matter. You're happy, at least from the eyes of faith. You're consoled because you have the fire of Jesus, his sacred heart, close to you. So whatever your addiction is, whatever pain you're experiencing, whatever self-doubt you're experiencing that you're not good enough, that something's wrong with you, take that to Jesus and say, Jesus, I feel inadequate, but that's okay, because that just means that you can stretch my heart even more. Isn't that amazing? Your heart is like a muscle, and the more your heart expands, the bigger the home of Jesus within you can be, and the more his light can shine through you. So, is your yes to Jesus firm in your mind right now? Do you really want to love him as much as possible? Because you're going to show yourself. After this video's over, you're going to show yourself. And you're going to show Jesus too what you really want. The line between heaven and earth can be blurred if you are living each moment like it's your last. If you are living each moment like the next thing you know, you're going to be seeing Jesus face to face. So give him this moment if you want to experience him, if you want to experience heaven on earth. If you want to put an end, a real end to your addiction, if you feel like you've exhausted all your other options. And if you need more individual help, feel free to reach out to me. I'm a life coach, Catholic life coach. So that's different than therapy because we're not focusing on, mental illnesses, but we're focusing on, overcoming sinful habits and connecting with God as much as possible. So I can tell you, my opinions, my advice straightforwardly. Whereas in therapy, it's more, self-discovery, you're guided by the therapist, but it's not, being coached like a any kind of coach, like a soccer coach or anyone that's telling you the next steps to take in your life. And of course, not as firm as a spiritual director who can tell you things like, okay, the obedience, right? Like if he tells you something in the spiritual life, you obey. Of course, if it's not sinful, right? But you obey for his path for you. Of course, a life coach is not on that level, but it's on the level of, boom, let's go. Let's get to that next level. Let's get that connection with Jesus. And here's how to do it, right? Here's my opinion, and you can take it or leave it, right? But if you want that one-on-one help, my email is nico@agnusdeicoaching.com, nico@agnusdei coaching.com. All right, nico@agnusdeicoaching.com. All right, so individual help, perfectly good, great, because you are opening your heart up to God. If anything good comes from me, comes from God, because God is this author. He's the source of everything good. So if anything bad, you hear from me, that's me. But if there's anything good that you hear from me, that's from God. All right, as the Surrender Novena says, everything good comes from God. Okay, so key points here. Have a yes. Loving God as much as possible. Have a no. I cannot do this thing that's leading me away from God. And then third, I am going to embrace the temptations that stretch me, because Jesus, present, can stretch me now, so that my heart can be more open to him and more in love with him every day. And then lastly, I'm going to live each moment like it's my last. And there's no way I would say yes to something that's going to lead me away from God in my last moment. I'm going to say it with love, I'm going to say it with peace. I'm going to do it as if Jesus is really seeing it in my life ends here on earth and my life in heaven is beginning. Let's end with a prayer. Jesus, present, stretch me now. Jesus, present, stretch my heart. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, I love you. Save souls. Amen. Thank you. God bless you.